There you are, welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I hope you're having a nice day so far. I hope you're ready for a new Most Amazing Top 10 video. My name is Danny Burke and today we're going to be talking to you guys about the top 10 laws you don't know you're breaking. Now some of these won't be technically illegal where you're watching this from, but the things I'm about to talk about now are things that most of us do on a regular basis and it's illegal somewhere out there in the world. So do try and avoid those places and maybe these crimes, and let's jump into this now with our number 10, which is Wi-Fi squatting. Have you guys ever been standing outside of a coffee place and connected to their Wi-Fi for just a few minutes? Or maybe you've been inside of that place and connected maybe while your friend is buying a drink but you didn't buy anything yourself. Now you might think you're just being a little bit cheeky, but you could actually be prosecuted for that if you get caught. Don't believe me? Well, there was one case of a man in Michigan back in 2007 who did exactly this in a parked car outside of a cafe. He was actually fined $400 and sentenced to 40 hours of community service, and he got off lightly. The maximum penalty under this law is actually $10,000 and 5 years in prison. I think that's a little bit mental. Moving on now, you probably all recognize this flag. Now, do you guys have any object in your house with it on? Well, at number 9, you could be breaking the law. According to official US code, you are not allowed to wear the flag or use it as bedding and curtains, as it's disrespectful. Maybe that's a little bit outdated, but a lot of you guys probably haven't broken that law of using an actual flag like that. Well, it does go on to say that you also can't use it for advertising or putting it on cushions or handkerchiefs or napkins or anything at all that will be thrown away afterwards. Now, although police aren't likely to arrest you these days for wiping away birthday cake with an American themed napkin, you're still technically breaking the law. Alright, at number 8 now, we have jaywalking. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this word, jaywalking is basically crossing the road when and where you probably shouldn't, and it's illegal in almost all US states. Now, a lot of people out there seem to think that jaywalking is more of a guideline, and that if you cross the road in a place where you shouldn't, you might just get a few angry beeps from cars that are passing by. But the truth is, you're probably breaking the law. Your punishment or fine will vary from place to place, but it's best to just always cross at a safe place just in case. Alright, moving on to number 7 now. It's having a permanent marker pen in public. Yeah, now most of you guys will own one of these things, a permanent marker, or you might call it a Sharpie, but in some places out there, if you have one of these in public and you're under the age of 18, you could be breaking the law. Now it all comes from anti-graffiti laws that are aimed to tackle young people vandalizing public property with aerosol sprays, but because it sometimes happens with marker pens too, they just threw those into the law as well. You actually have to be accompanied by a legal guardian in some places if you have a marker pen. It's a very weird law and there have only been a few cases of it actually being enforced, but the law is the law. No marker pens for teenagers in public. Next up at number 6, we've got insulting royalty. Now this might sound like a law from medieval times, but in many European countries, if you're caught insulting the head of a state, you could find yourself in prison. It all comes under an old law called lèse majesté that has become more relaxed over the years, but there's still examples of it being enforced. In 2005, a journalist in Poland was sentenced for insulting the Pope, and then a human rights activist was charged with insulting Vladimir Putin. But it's nothing, absolutely nothing compared to Thailand, who have actually charged 53 people under the lèse majesté since 2014. 40 of those were from online comments that people wrote. In fact, one man got 60 years in prison for making comments about the Thai royal family. In this day and age, many of us just make casual jokes about kings and queens, but just be careful who is listening or who is reading them online, because it might just land you in jail. I was going to make a joke at the end of this one, but I don't want to go to prison. Coming in at number 5 now, we have swearing on the phone. Now, in a number of US states, there is a law that says over the telephone it is illegal to use any kind of obscene, vulgar, profane, or indecent language to another person that you're talking to. In the US state of Virginia, this law was actually put into practice in 2014 when a man rang the office of an attorney general that he wasn't happy with. He reached the answer phone and proceeded to leave a whole message full of curse words and swearing, which actually landed him a $250 fine after pleading guilty to the misdemeanor. Now, we all get mad at people over the phone and sometimes swear at them, but depending on where you are, it might be best to watch your tongue if you don't want a nasty run-in with the law. Alright, moving on to number 4 now. We've got writing something disturbing. Just that. Now, in some US states, if you write a horrific, violent, or just plain creepy story, you could find yourself breaking the law. Some places class this kind of writing as disorderly conduct. In Illinois, for example, if you write something that disturbs the person who's reading it, whether or not you actually published it, the maximum penalty is 30 days in jail and a whopping $1,500 fine. That means if I grew up there as a teenager, most of the stuff that I wrote would probably have got me a month in a cell. I wrote some pretty lame, teenage, angsty rubbish. Alright, coming in at number 3 now. We have betting with friends. Most of us make small bets with our friends on the outcomes of, sporting events. $10 here, $20 there, and some people might even wager thousands on these bets. Now, you guys might think that's just being irresponsible, it's not too bad, but it's technically illegal in some places. In Virginia, if you or your friends bet more than $2,000 in one day, you're classed as running an illegal gambling operation. In fact, in 2006, one man was even shot and killed by a SWAT team for doing this after betting over $2,000 on a football game. They later had to pay the victim's family $2 million because that was obviously ridiculous, but it's still a scary thought that one minute you can be considered a bit of a money risk taker looking for a thrill, no harm, it's all, just a bit of fun, and the next, you're basically Al Capone. Okay, moving on to number 2 now. We've got Snowball Fights. Yes, this law comes from Aspen in Colorado, with a law that states it is unlawful to throw stones or objects or fire guns in public or at a person in public. That seems fair, right? Yeah. But they also added snowballs. You are actually breaking the law if you throw a big fat snowball at your friend in the park. It seems like this law was brought in to stop people from actually throwing solid ice at another person and then being like, oh no, it was just a snowball. But the truth is, it's pretty hard to define where a snowball ends and a big lump of ice begins. If a police officer in Aspen thinks your snowball has crossed that line, they can slap you with a fine. Now, I hope this law doesn't apply in other places out there, because snowball fights are probably the only good thing about winter. Am I right? Like, don't take that away from us. Finally, at number 1, we have a law that some of you guys might be breaking right now as you watch this: the Google account age. If you have a YouTube account, then you will have had to agree to their terms and conditions that you are at least 13 years old. Great, if you are 13 or older, then that's fine. But if you're not and you have an account that you can comment on this video with, you're technically breaking the law. In the US, companies like YouTube and Facebook have to obey the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which means no children under the age of 13 are allowed to sign up for websites that require personal information, just like this one. So if you're under 13, then well, I guess you can stay. I won't tell anyone, but you have to subscribe. I mean, if you want, obviously. It's completely optional, not bribing or threatening you. Or am I? No, I'm honestly not, don't worry. Alright, thanks for watching Most Amazing Top 10. My name is Danny Burke, and I'm gonna say bye now. I'm gonna go on my way, but if you wanna hang out with past versions of me, or Rebecca, or Landon, then do check out these videos floating over there right now. Give them a click and you can carry on. But in the meantime, I will see you guys in the next one.